Welcome back to Coloring Through the Bible. My name is Keegan Harkins, and today we're talking about Genesis chapter 15. This chapter sets the tone for Abraham's life. Verse 6 says, Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Righteousness means having a right relationship with God. So in other words, Abraham had a right relationship with God because he trusted that God would and could do what he said. But before we move past this chapter and just say, yeah, that's great for Abraham, he was a great man of faith, I want to point out that the promise that Abraham received wasn't entirely something to be jumping up and down about. Now, God had promised him descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and that's pretty cool, especially for a guy who is looking at not having any children. And God's promising not only are you going to have children, but you're going to have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. In fact, so many you're not even going to be able to count them. That's really encouraging, but it didn't stop there. Verses 13 and 14 says, Then the Lord said to him, Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own. They'll be enslaved and mistreated 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. Can you imagine being told this wonderful news that you're going to have children and descendants, but then having it kind of ending on that note that, yeah, you're going to have children, but guess what? They're really going to be mistreated for 400 years. It's going to be horrible for them. They're going to be slaves. But in the end, it'll all work out. They're going to have freedom and lots of possessions because of that time in captivity. Now, God's calling us to trust Him not just when we see blue skies in our horizons. There are a lot of times when we know the next time of our life is going to be hard. There are circumstances that happen and we know this is going to be devastating. And I'm only going to survive this by the grace of God. Anybody who's ever sat at the bedside of a terminally sick child knows that having faith when you know the outcome is more challenging than fair weather faith. Anybody who's ever been through any kind of a struggle that's long-term and devastating, maybe you're the one on the bed and you know that there is an end. Having faith when we know that the next part of our life is going to be hard, that's tremendous faith. And that's the kind of faith that God wants us to have. See, Abraham is hugely famous for being this powerful man of faith. Not because he was perfect. I mean, he messed up. We all mess up, and we all have moments when we get scared. We have moments when we do the wrong thing. But our faith isn't dependent on us. Our faith is dependent on God. And God wants us to dance in the happy seasons of our life. Enjoy the blessings that He gives us. But He also wants us to remain faithful when it's hard. Remain faithful when we know that the promise comes at a cost. And we can do that because God is all powerful and He doesn't do anything for this arbitrary, I don't have a reason, I just thought it would be fun to see if I could torture this person today. He does it because there's a reason for it. And like in the example of Abraham, he said that your descendants are going to be slaves for 400 years. But, I'm going to punish them. Don't worry. I will punish the people who hurt your descendants. But they're going to come away from it with a whole bunch of possessions. And really more than that. When we come out through our trials, we come out with the blessings as the reward for remaining faithful through our trials, but also we come out, if we've remained faithful through those trials, with a deeper love, connection and dependence on God. And you can't beat that. So I want to encourage you today to be faithful when there's sunny skies and be faithful when you know that there's a bad storm coming. Because God is the God of good times and He's the God of bad times. And we just need to trust Him because He knows what He's doing. And if it's His will, it'll work out according to His plan. And that's always the best scenario. So be encouraged today. Hold on to your faith. And I will see you tomorrow.